Hi everyone, I am Caitlin and I found 3 factors from our various readings in the first literature bundle which affect implementation of PBIS in schools. I'm going to sort of go through these backwards, and I also apologize if I mispronounce any of the authors' names. So the first factor that I identified is the actual fidelity of the implementation of the program. This is something that I hadn't really considered before, but in hindsight it seems fairly obvious. So in the piece examining the association between implementation fidelity and outcomes, Poss and Bradshaw 2012 stated, school-wide PBIS fidelity as measured by one of 3 fidelity measures was found to be associated with higher math achievement, higher reading achievement, and lower truancy. I think that this is a really key factor in the success of PBIS, and it sort of requires that schools are continuously sort of assessing and monitoring their actual program and making sure that there is a high level of implementation in order to achieve the outcomes that are desirable. A second factor that affects implementation of PBIS that I identified is training. So in order to have implementation fidelity, you need to have a trained staff, a well-trained staff. Tillery and others 2010 stated, therefore, teachers are in a position to be key facilitators for prevention-focused initiatives like PBIS, but may be hindered by inadequate training in behavior management and punitive school discipline policies. When I was looking at the example of the Maryland schools, it had said that it was often common that schools can provide those universal supports, but they struggle more to provide those intense Tier 2 and Tier 3 interventions. So I think that training is a really important factor, and leaders need to be trained. There might be a PBIS team that needs to be trained, and then all staff members need to be trained in PBIS. I think that the training and the implementation fidelity are really connected. Teachers get trained in so many different programs. So many new programs come into schools that teachers are trained in, but the programs, in my experience, really tend to fall by the wayside unless they're implemented to a high level, which means that the program is being regularly monitored for its outcomes. So I think that those 2 factors, training and implementation fidelity, are definitely closely related. A final factor which I identified that affects implementation of PBIS is buy-in. And I think that this is arguably the most important factor for implementation before you can get to training and before you can get to the fidelity of the implementation. I think that you absolutely need buy-in at all levels. So that includes your district, your leadership, your principal, and all staff members who are going to be responsible for implementing PBIS. They need to buy into the program. Netzel and Ebert 2003 stated, be sure to have systems change emanate from a shared philosophy among not only the leadership team members, but all adults within the building. I just think that this is really critical to have an effective program. If you have 50% of your teachers have one set of behavioral expectations and 50% have another set of behavioral expectations, PBIS is not going to be very effective. Miramontes and others, 2011, stated research-based interventions that address both student need and teacher satisfaction and buy-in will likely be successful due to their focus on key consumers. So this was the piece on social validity, which I found very interesting. I think that the leadership, the district has to get the staff to buy in, and the process has to be, I guess, doable for the teachers, since the gen ed teachers are the ones that primarily will be teaching the behavioral expectations. They're going to be providing the interventions and often doing that progress monitoring. So they need to feel that it's a valuable and effective use of their classroom time. So those are the 3 factors that I found to be important in how they affect the implementation of PBIS: the fidelity of the implementation, the training, and the buy-in at every level. So once again, I'm sorry if I mispronounced authors' names, and I'm really curious to watch the other videos and see what other factors were identified or if there's any overlap, and I look forward to seeing everyone in class. Thanks.